Hi, I'm Mariana and welcome back to Garden Grub. If you're growing figs where winters are real, this series is for you. Even if you don't grow figs, maybe you're thinking about them or you're just curious, because I'm documenting my entire journey from rooting these cuttings to where I planned to plant them and how I'm going to be protecting them in the winter this coming fall, and ultimately which ones actually produce fruit. These are the 3 fig varieties that I chose. I chose Florea Colosanti and Pastilière, and these are the ones that I'll be working with this year, so stay tuned for the entire journey. I'm going to be making a playlist. There's going to be a series for this, so click the subscribe button, hit that bell notification to all, that way you can keep updated on the progress. 2 bonus ones that I did receive were Champagne and LSU Gold. I won't be growing these myself because 5 is way too many, but I am going to propagate them and give them to family or friends or anyone who's interested in a fig tree. So if you live in Brampton and you want a fig tree, a potted fig tree, let me know below and I'll let you know if it's available. Now, Pastilière is known for being an early ripening and producing, especially on new wood, which is critical in cold climates. If a fig can bounce back from winter complete dieback and still fruit, that's a big win. Now, Florea is often recommended as one of the most cold hardiest figs available, even cold hardier than the Chicago fig. It is early, dependable. It's not flashy, but it definitely is reliable, and reliability matters more than hype. You know, when you're pushing the limits of climate and trying to grow something, a fruit that is usually for a warmer climate, it definitely does matter. This will grow back from complete dieback. Now, Colosanti is a more vigorous Italian heritage variety. It's known for its production and larger fruit. Florea has smaller fruit, but it often benefits from more control, which is why I will eventually be growing this one in a container. So that way I can overwinter it in the garage, because these plants do go dormant in the winter. So they are a safe bet. You just keep them in the garage and bring them out in the summer. But these 2 I can plant in the ground, which is the Pastilière and the Florea, because you shear them down to the ground in the fall and they come back in the spring. These 2 were gifted to me, so I'll be passing them on, but I do want to give you a quick overview in case you're researching varieties. LSU Gold was bred for hot, humid climates, so it's much better as a container fig if you live in zones between zones 5 and 8. But if you're in zones 8 or higher, this can be grown in ground. It has a moderate upright growth habit and makes medium to large sweet golden figs with that milky honey sweet flavor. It's known for more reliability and disease resistance than it is for cold hardiness. So this is good if you have disease issues or you're just not that much of a green thumb. This would be good, which is why I recommend this one to be put in a pot if you're willing to overwinter it in a shed or in a garage, or wrap it. You'll have to wrap it up. And I'll show you how we do that in the fall. Now, the other gifted one I got was Champagne. Now, Champagne is a smaller and more compact fig variety that does absolutely fantastic in containers in cooler climates like mine, and in ground starting from zone 7 up. You could try this in ground, but you're gonna have to heavily mulch it, maybe put a bucket over top of it, so that way, or really wrap it. But the fruit is pale yellow, small to medium, and is very sweet, often described as a dessert fig. It's not a heavy producer, but people grow it for the flavor alone, not the volume. So if flavor is a big deal, champagne would be great. Now from the instructions where we left off, it says fill the cup with a pro mix or a lighter soil. Make sure it has drainage holes, which we did. It says to use rooting hormone on the bottom part of the cup cutting. That's optional. Powder or gel is fine. So you don't really need it, but I have it, so I'm gonna use it. Stick the cutting in the soil in the prepared cut and water the cutting. Place and keep the cuts inside the house at room temperature. Ensure proper lighting conditions are available to the cuttings. Lighting can be added after a few days. Optional growing heat mats could also be used. And water cuttings only when needed. Allow it to go through a drying cycle. Do not water too frequently or too often, and only needed. Roots and growth should start in 2 to 4 weeks. And I have Chelsea here. She's curious as to what I'm doing. She's smelling the cuttings. Okay, so it did say also to, so this one, so this side, this white wax was the top, and I took the yellow wax that was on the bottom off here. It says to score it. So that's what I'm gonna do to allow some of the roots to grow. I guess to expose. All right, so I've done that. I am going to use the water I was sitting in and just wet it. I'm gonna dip it into my rooting powder. There we go. And then I am just going to, since this is the one I want to grow in ground, I want to kind of see the roots grow. So I'm going to put it in a clear container. I'm just going to put it in like that. I do hear that most people say to put a plastic bag over, so we will do that. So the red end was the bottom and this yellow end was the top on these. You can see almost like little bumps, like where the roots want to like grow out of. It also says that you can just score it this way like that, just like make a cut. But because there's all this wax, I want to get some of this wax off. I'm also going to scrape it. I want the roots to be able to come out from underneath where the wax is. So I'm just gonna dip that in this water, get my rooting hormone, do that, and I'm gonna put, this is the Colosanti, the one I'm growing, so I'm just gonna put it into the pot. So I'm gonna do the rest of these and then I'll be back. So here are all my fig cuttings. I don't really need to label the pots because they have their names here. They're all labeled already, so there we go. And I'm just gonna give these a water, and I'm gonna put a plastic bag over top of them. Chicago Hardy is extremely tough and beginner friendly, though the flavor is just average. Olympia is another popular one for its sweetness and works well in containers. Del Monte is productive with enough heat and sun, and Desert King can produce a very early Breba fig as well. I'm just gonna press the soil down around it so there's no air pockets. There we go, and I'm going to bring these upstairs by a window. I'm gonna put these in this container so I don't make a mess of my hardwood floors. And any water can drain in here. Any excess water. I'm gonna put plastic. Hello, sorry for the dishwasher noise throughout the video, but this is a real home with real people in real life. I have these grocery store bags that I have. I used to got them for the farmer's market when I did it with my sister-in-law, but they didn't need them. So now I have a whole roll. So I'm gonna do that for each one. The bags will help keep the humidity high, but they're not sealed, they're loose. It needs to have ventilation in order to prevent mold, and place them in indirect but bright light. But here's the key thing to remember. Roots always come before leaves. Leaves without roots will usually mean failure. Rooting usually takes 3 to 6 weeks. I won't up-pot too early, and I won't rush them. Most fig failures happen because of impatience. I'll give you an update in the next video of this series, so don't forget to hit the subscribe and that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Let's do this together, friends. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah.